Welcome, everybody, to the FARR and Beyond Podcast. I'm the co-host, Scott Jones. We've got our host, Karyn Hurley, and we're sending out a special wish to our other host, Stephanie Edaus. She a little under the weather. We're wishing her the best.
We wish you the best today, Steph.
Better.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always hoping that she's doing fine, and we're hoping all of you are doing fine. And before we start the show, just want to remind everybody, take a moment, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, share this with your friends. We try to give you as much good information as we can on this show. If you're watching one of the replays, you can put the comments in. We're going to read those comments, and we'll be able to answer any questions you have on future shows. So thanks for joining us. We appreciate you taking our time. And Karyn, this is one of our favorite people.
This is one of our favorite people.
Especially after what happened this weekend.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
We're going to talk about
wow.
that. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Karyn Hurley, and I'm on the executive board of FARR. And I am proud to be on the board of FARR, as we were just talking about, because of the changes. The growth of FARR has been incredible. I have so much respect for Michael Cabot, chairman of the board, and Michael Schlossman, who's the CEO, and the staff at FARR is just beyond anything that I have ever seen from FARR in all the years we've been around.
Yeah,
FARR, Scott and
absolutely.
I, and Sarah.
Yeah.
We've all been around a long time. So I'm thrilled to death to have you here, Sarah Barkley from Fellowship. And I think we have a lot to talk about today and some really good things to share with everybody.
For sure.
Yes. So let's start with one of the things we do want to talk about is FARR Brunch and Learn. The next one is in Miami, and we'll give you those dates and sending out. Please get in touch with Scott or myself or Sarah at my number 786-514-0893, and I'll be really happy to send out flyers to you if you did not get them for some reason. So
the information is also on the website.
It's on the website. Yeah.
If you go there, that'll talk about all the different events we have going on. We have different brunch and learns, and certainly we're working on other events too. So go on FARRonline.org, find out where the next brunch and learn is, and see if you can attend.
And we just went through the FARR barbecue.
The barbecue.
It was amazing. Almost 300 people attended, which was incredible. As we all know, the three of us are in recovery. And when you get into recovery, at least for me, I had no idea how to have fun. I thought my life was over. And when I met a group of people, there were many of us getting sober together, and they were having fun. I learned to have fun. And that's what keeps you going to the next place. And I know that Fellowship does some amazing things to help people have fun and stay sober and clean. If you'd like to tell us more about that, that would be awesome.
Sure.
And plus, we want to talk about her dancing at the barbecue. Wow.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Scott and Karyn, for inviting me. I'm super excited to be here. I'll touch base on the barbecue, which was an amazing event. I had the pleasure of participating in working behind the scenes of getting the barbecue together and all that goes into organizing that. And we were able to volunteer a lot of our participants as well as our staff to be the volunteers at the event. To make sure that the people that were invited, a lot of participants new to recovery, to make sure that they could be there to enjoy the day. And, it's one thing that I shared, I think with you guys earlier in the week, is that in early recovery, I didn't know how to have fun. And so as I went into recovery and, started working my steps and started working on myself, finding that self-love and, finding that self-worth and really just accepting the weirdness and the quirks that I have, just learning how to be me and being okay with being me. And one of the things that I try to do at Fellowship and wherever I go that's related to recovery is really extending that grace to the newcomer, that it's okay. I'll show you that, I'm weird first and I'm socially awkward, and then you'll feel better and you'll want to join in. And I came into recovery, not really expecting what I've received, and what I've received is just beyond my wildest dreams. And, I want to be able to help the newcomer get to that space where they're okay in their skin. They're okay, doing the Elaine dance in front of other people and with no qualms,
I don't know about socially awkward or anything like that or uncomfortable, but you're a hell of a dancer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Watching you do that and seeing how it motivated other people.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the Elaine dance. She was so much better than that. A little bit. No, she was a lot better.
Yeah.
She was a lot better.
There was a little Elaine
But the
in there.
energy was there and everything. Is this the kind of energy that you have at Fellowship as well? Is this the kind of camaraderie that you like to have with your clients at Fellowship?
Yeah, it's it's I have this new way of life, and sometimes I have to kind of stuff that joy and just that excitement for life down to be a little bit more serious. I recently was promoted to the chief executive officer. And so now I'm in these new spaces and I kind of have to curtail sometimes, but this life that I have today is beyond amazing, and I always tell people that I am so grateful that I get to work with people who may be feeling hopeless and helpless. I get to guide them along through the process of how I came to be in this joyful place today. It is attainable. It is achievable. And, our goal is always to set our participants up for success and be the best version of yourself. And you can't do that if you're dragging and you're just, but, I'm living today. I'm living life, and I'm excited about that. And some days are more challenging than others, but that's why I love those outreach events. I love anything that can bring a lot of people in recovery together, because when we get in a group together, it's just you're stronger. We're stronger together, right. And you feel that vibration, of everybody just there. And it's like, what? Yeah, this is a great day. This is good stuff.
Well, I think you and I were tired at the picnic and we wouldn't dare show it because you had so much energy. We're like, oh my God, I feel like a corpse next to you. You're moving so much.
First of all, congratulations.
I like to move.
Yes.
CEO. But before that, Scott, you and I were talking about when we were getting sober in Syracuse, New York.
Yeah.
And we talked about that. There were dances then. I got sober in young people's. I wasn't the young people. They were all the young people. But, I learned so much wherever you get sober and clean, whatever you do to do it. There's so many ways. It just happened to be AA, but there's NA, there's Celebrate Recovery. There's all kinds of church. Whatever you do is the right thing for you. But we were talking, we used to ride motorcycle. So there were 30 of us riding. We'd all ride to a dance. And we would all dance. And here's everybody. I learned to dance.
Oh, they'd hear us coming too.
Yeah. But I learned to dance because the young people did. And I was afraid to. I was afraid to be in front of people and afraid to do things. And because young people did, and they had podium and I had to stand and talk.
Yep.
And I would take an F in school, but I had to learn to do it. It was awesome.
I'd like to ask a question. We just mentioned CEO.
Yes.
Of Fellowship Recovery Community Organization.
Yes.
RCO. We've heard that term over and over again. Karyn and I have worked with RCOs all over. I'm sure you have too.
Yes.
They're all very supportive of FARR and they're very involved with FARR in the state of Florida, which is wonderful. I do have to ask though, what exactly does it mean to be a recovery community organization? What exactly is it? Can we put it in layman's terms?
Yes, I will do my best to put it in layman's terms. I did just want to say almost 20 years ago, August is our anniversary. Will be 20 years of Fellowship. Wow. 20 years ago, we started off with just recovery residences. In 2015, we opened up our first recovery community organization. And then about 4 years after, we combined everything together. So everything is under the umbrella of Fellowship Recovery Community Organization. Now we're housing, the respite, and the recovery community centers. So recovery community organization is started out as a grassroots movement, almost, I believe, a little over 20 years ago, starting with the organization Faces and Voices, which is based out of DC. And so the premise behind an RCO is that entry point where anyone can just walk in. The RCO provides sort of that safe haven for somebody to come in and receive any type of recovery related support. And so what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, we support all pathways. You were talking about pathways earlier.
Okay.
So it's not just about a 12-step.
Right.
Because not everybody fits into one space. Some of us are square, some of us are round, we're, trapezoids and all that kind of stuff. So what we try to do is create these programs and create this space that anyone can feel welcomed into. So right now we're finishing up a SMART recovery training where our last training is tomorrow, and then we'll be able to offer SMART recovery as a modality. Excellent. And then we have the 12-step AA, NA, celebrate recovery. Some people it's art. You see all the art here in your studio, and some people that is what keeps them sober. Right. And across the nation there are movements of art, sober in art. You have the Phoenix recovery that sort of embodies the physical body and working out and doing those sorts of things. So the RCO is really, it can be any one thing to a lot of people.
So unlike treatment, RCOs have the ability to actually individualize what they do for each person who walks through the door.
And great point.
And you can be whatever you want to be there. It doesn't, you don't have to be anything.
Yes.
Which is pretty awesome.
Yes. So that's one of the beautiful things about our recovery community centers. When somebody walks in, it's okay. How can we help you in your recovery today? So Bob may need to do a resume. Bob may not know how to use the computer. So we start there. It's really, meeting them where they're at and then setting up all of those things, making sure people are document ready. One of our main things that we focus on is the linkage. It's really, we're located in Broward County, and Broward County is resource rich. But if you don't know how to use the resources, then they're no good. So it's really our sweet spot is vetting the resources, making sure we have contacts there, and doing that warm handoff or that hot handoff where I can call a resource and say, hey, it's Sarah from the RCO. We want to send so-and-so over for X, Y, and Z. And then when our so-and-so goes over there and meets them, they already are expecting them. And it's not that, sort of cold introduction. And sometimes in early recovery that can make the bigger difference. If you walk in somewhere and you need something and someone looks at you like you got three heads, I'm going to turn around and walk back out. I'm not going to follow through.
All those relationships are symbiotic as well, because they might end up in a situation where they have somebody they want to refer to you. And
it's all that reciprocal.
Everybody coming together is so important.
Yeah, there's a lot of reciprocation. And hey, we're sending this guy over. He needs to get on your computer. Can you help him? Get on Indeed. He's got to do some job search, and then we can sit with that person and do all that stuff. Yeah.
Boy, the days before all of this, when nobody had access to this kind of resource.
People suffered because you didn't know what to do or where to go. And that's one of the reasons why RCOs are so important in our community, to help people go to the next place, because you can go to detox, you can go to PHB and be in a container, but then what do you do? And if you can connect with an RCO with caring people that can show you the way to do that, then you have a real chance, because somebody's going to help you all along the way, which is just amazing. I love what you guys do.
One of the key features of an RCO is having the peer specialists and recovery navigators. So all of our peer specialists are certified through Florida Certification Board. It's a process, but it also gives it fidelity to the work that you're doing. And so it's somebody with that lived experience of, substance use disorder and or some co-occurring. It could be behavioral health, mental health, but it's that person with that lived experience who is assisting with emotional and informational support. Yes. It's somebody saying, hey, I've been where you've been.
Yep.
and this is what I did. But hey, let's lay out a plan for you, and let's set, these SMART goals, essentially, so that it's not overwhelming to them. You piece it up a little bit, and it's all self-directed. The participant coming in gets to have a decision. It's
so
not
important.
a peer saying, you're going to go to this
So
detox
important.
and you're going to do this.
Yeah.
No, if they don't want to do that, they don't do that.
And I'm sure often you come
decide.
into the case where it's like, we don't offer that, but let's look into it
Yeah,
and see.
yeah.
So you're constantly finding new
Yeah.
things you could do. I want to say that you can't overstate the importance of the actual fellowship itself and the social connections.
Yes.
Not just the services you're going to get or the things you're
Correct.
linked to, but the people that you become linked to.
Yes.
Friendships are born there, aren't
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. I was sharing earlier today about this, and a lot of the participants and people that we interact with are almost like family.
Sure.
It's the organization. We've tried to foster and cultivate this family-like atmosphere. And at the end of the day, I'm in recovery, and I'm really only one bad decision away from being right back out there. And it's about that servant leadership and letting the participants know, hey, I'm going to be going right alongside you. And sometimes it is, we're doing community service and we're picking up trash for our Adopt a Street program, and the staff is right out there with them doing it.
And you've walked this walk.
Yes.
At Fellowship.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
I've known you a lot
Yeah.
of years.
Yeah, I'm a product of
Yeah.
Fellowship. I came into
Wow.
the program, to our women's facility in 2013, November of 2013, and I never left.
Speaking of which, we should give a quick shout out to Rick Riccardi.
Yes,
And
thank
him
you,
for
Rick.
his years and years
Yes,
and years
yes.
of service
Dedication.
and
Rick
helping to
has
put this
been,
together.
An amazing mentor to me, and
Me too.
I get emotional because I don't know where I would be had I not found Fellowship, and had I not had the guidance from Rick. As a child, 9 years old, they say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, I want to be a philanthropist. I want to have mad, crazy money and be able to give it away. And at 9 years old, everyone else in the class is like, ooh, she said a bad word. She said philanthropist. And nobody knew what it was, but I had this already inside. And Rick said to me about 6 years ago, he's like, you are fulfilling that, Sarah, because
Pretty
you're
awesome.
giving of your time, and
Wow.
time can't, you can't get back time, but you give so freely of your time to, our organization and to the recovery community. And that really hit home for me, and
I was
really solidified
awesome.
that I've
That's pretty awesome.
I found my purpose.
Yeah,
you,
did.
you led right into it, because I was going to ask you about the personal rewards you get from doing
Yeah.
this kind of work, and
Yeah.
you just explained it.
Yeah.
Did you expect to ever feel this way, or to
No.
need that?
No.
That it would make such an impact on you personally?
No, I never thought about that. But, as time goes by, and I talked about it earlier, some days can be a struggle, and this work can be hard. You're working with human beings.
Right.
And, but it's, there's a gentleman I just found out, he's been with us for about 2 weeks, and he just got that job today.
Oh.
And, I just texted him. I was talking to him on Monday. He's like, I go tomorrow for the interview. And I said, okay, what time? I'm going to send out the positive vibes. And it's those
sure
moments. And some people may look at that like, oh, you got a job, big deal.
No.
It's the biggest deal when you can go in and do an interview with somebody after having been where you've been, and you can look someone in the eyes and ask for that job and tell them why you deserve that job. I mean, from coming from the streets to doing that, that's huge.
There's nothing better than the feeling of watching another human being grow.
Yes.
And
And
be able
thrive.
and be able to say things
Yeah.
and talk to people and do things and start being so proud of themselves, and then continue to grow. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Yeah.
nothing that replaces
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
They're absolutely incredible. I mean, I get it. I've been and felt that
Yeah.
kind of feeling, and it's such an honor. We're certainly, I don't think any of us are going to get rich on this chosen path.
It's
But
not about that.
you
That's
know
right.
Yeah. I'm rich
But you know
inside
what?
though.
There's
Yes,
food in the
absolutely.
fridge, and
Yeah.
there's a car in the driveway, and that's all that really matters, because I can get where I'm going to help people.
Yeah.
And we do such great things. I got to say, this is what FARR looks for, is this kind of dedication. And with that dedication, having enough structure so that you are going to be of service to everybody who walks through your door. And that's what FARR's looking for in their sober living homes and all organizations they work with, right, Karyn?
Right, exactly. So that's one of the things that I have such respect for FARR is the service. I'm watching more and more. And we've been around a long time, so we know where FARR started.
Yeah.
And we know some of the bumps it has had, we'll say, as it grew. Like, there isn't a company in the world or a nonprofit in the world that doesn't have its bumps.
Right.
I don't care who you are. But if you continue to grow and you continue to believe and you continue to stay there, then it begins, the path gets smoother. Things begin to happen. The right people keep coming in. I'm so proud to be part of FARR because what I've seen happen through the years, and Rick Riccardi and, John Lehman were so good to me and to us when we first moved here. And Rick has always been special to me. And now I see what's happened from their vision, their bumps.
Yeah.
Now I see what happens with Michael Cabot and Michael Schlossman and some of the other people like Michael Gordon who have just stayed there all this time and stuck in no matter what. Patrick Slattery's another one, all this time working at this. And I've been on the board a couple times and I've been back a while, and I wouldn't give it up for anything because of how I see it helping houses. People's lives are being saved. And you know about that too. People's lives are being saved and good things are happening because. So tell us about that and maybe a little bit about Matt and some of the things that happen for being FARR accredited.
Yeah, for sure. So we've been FARR accredited since FARR started,
right.
And so we've seen over the years the evolution of FARR and the growing pains. And I have to say this new space that we're in today is it feels really good. Some amazing things are happening. You have the brunch and learns. One of the most important things that I have seen and experienced is the newsletter coming out. We're getting more information about what's going on in the state of Florida that is representative, especially to the recovery residences, how we can be affected. And one of the major things that came out recently was the legislation stating that you have to accept medication-assisted treatment participants who are taking part in that modality. And the beautiful thing is FARR put together a couple different listening sessions and question and answer sort of sessions where we were able to participate in that and got so much information and could ask these questions. And we moved on from that feeling good about, okay, yes, we need to, make the changes to our policy and our procedures to align with this. Right. Number one, we want to be, within the guidelines and follow what FARR says. But after having those listening sessions with key stakeholders in our community, to include the MAT providers who actually provide it to participants. There were a few doctors there, and there were a lot of other recovery residences and just those key stakeholders that we were able to talk it out, share our concerns, get some workarounds. And I that wouldn't have happened, I don't think, long ago. Right. And so with that, that was so helpful. And, there's a lot of different trainings that are being offered now, and that's helpful. Yeah. One of the things that we had started a couple years ago is we started a Broward specific FARR coalition with all the people in Broward County that had FARR certified houses, so that we could talk amongst ourselves and kind of share the information. And today,
I was part of that. Yes.
Today we put it on pause because now we are actually having these FARR monthly calls that everybody can get on, not just the Broward people, right, but from around, all around Florida, which is also a beautiful thing because it really connects more recovery people together. For us, having those resources, knowing that there's a FARR certified house up in Jacksonville, if one of our participants decides to get a job up there or wants to move back, but still needs that accountability. Hey, go check out this place up there. They're FARR certified and we know the people and all that kind of stuff. So it's been
the stability of that network
yes
lends itself to the stability of their recovery.
Yes, absolutely.
To know that you're not going to have to panic and you've got people in your
Yes.
corner. And it's so important.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss the opportunity because we're running out of time. We only have a few moments left. I don't want to miss the opportunity to say you've been of service for quite some time, including in our U.S. military, correct?
Yes, I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force. I did 4 years.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
It is, you have achieved what you wanted to achieve, and there's so much more to do. I think philanthropist was shooting small for you. You are so much more than that.
That's right.
You are an inspirational leader.
Thank you.
And you do so much, but we're not where we need to be yet. We still lose too often.
Yes.
What would you like to see change? Being in the RCO and part of the community and being out there linking these things together, what would you really like to see change, say, in the next 5 years that you think would be beneficial?
One of the things that really evades me all the time is, we can get somebody to a year. We can get somebody to a year of sustainable recovery. Mm-hmm. They may live with us for a year and then they move off property and move on their own. And that's a lot of times when we lose them because they haven't stayed connected. Yeah. And so I've read a few of William White books, and he talks about the recovery community at large, and having these recovery villages to just give somebody that space to live on their own, but also be close enough to have those connections, some sort of a touch point. And
connections that go beyond the church basement in the 12-step group.
Yeah,
right?
One of the reasons
although the church basement saved
that
our
was
asses.
good.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons that we talk about a lot is when we were getting sober and clean, you might remember some of this. People were always connecting with you and talking to you no matter where they were.
Yeah.
And if we didn't show up someplace or we didn't want to do something, it didn't really matter because you had people there pulling you in to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've lost some of that.
I think so. I think we saw a lot of it happen too after COVID.
Yes, I agree.
During COVID.
I agree.
Yeah.
But somehow those of us who have been around and experienced that need to pull that back in.
Yeah.
Because people got lost.
Yeah.
I would have got lost after a year. I have a grandson who got lost after a year.
Yeah.
So it's like, if we can do that, that's what we should be doing. We all do it. We train and do that. You do that. We just need more of us doing it together.
I think COVID was, you're right. I mean, once the genie's out of the bottle, you can't put it back in.
Yeah.
Pretty hard.
And there's 12-step groups and fellowship groups like Celebrity and Smart Recovery and all those other ones. They're really based on the connection.
Yeah.
And when we had to connect in a new way, it's kind of like an evolution happened where they said, well, I don't have to get dressed to go to a meeting anymore. I can do this. And
do it on
so we
Zoom.
lose something. We're not going to put that back in the bottle. So we need to make changes so that it's more broad, that there's more things going on. We've seen people try to open recovery high schools, different things like that. Those are the kind of things we need to think about in our society.
Yeah.
And with leaders like you, Sarah, I know we're going to get there.
But you guys do a great job. One of the things that I have watched through the years and been part of Fellowship, one of the things is you have events, you have things going on.
Yeah.
FARR is doing that, and there's events going on with recovery residences. The more we do all of that, the more people have a way of staying sober and clean, because then you're accountable.
Yeah.
And yes, go ahead.
That's the beautiful thing about the FARBQ is the second annual one. It's about continuing to do those consistently. It's an annual event. Annual events that we do a Christmas breakfast. We do a Thanksgiving dinner that we cook together and eat together. We enlist the participants and their apartments. One will have a picture of a turkey on the door. He's got a turkey in the oven in there. And, we have this whole process. We've been doing it for the last 15 years. Awesome. Got some changing of the guards. The guy who does the menu, he's passing it down to somebody else so that they can carry on the tradition.
Yeah.
Wow.
But there's nothing like those participants coming to us and saying, hey, I never had a turkey cooking in my oven when I was growing up, and what it smelled like, to wake up to that. I'm ready to eat now. When can we eat? But just to give back to somebody so that they can have some of those memories of those beautiful moments.
amazing.
And
We had a lot of that with our dances and the
Oh
things that
gosh,
we
and we
did
all
and
cooked
stuff.
together
And,
in the early years. The same
we
kind
were
of
all,
thing.
I ate
yeah.
out of your fridge more than I ate out of my
you
own
did.
house.
Yeah, you did.
Until you finally got sick of me and threw me out. That's true.
No, I just didn't
Let-
open the door.
Last thought. First of all, if you ever want to do dances, you got a DJ.
Yes. Oh, and if I can let everybody know out there, if you don't know about DJ Scott, he has the sickest set lists ever, from Motown to 90s to current. Just the
Spanish,
best DJ.
everything.
Spanish. Oh my God, yes, Spanish,
Oh, yeah.
everything.
I'll play the Spanish. I don't know what the hell they're saying, but
Yeah,
I'll play it.
yeah.
Because
It's got a
a
good
good
beat.
rhythm. It's got a good beat.
And I'm not just saying that because he's sitting here. Like, really, that was
great.
amazing. Good
It was-
music.
I was feeding off the energy of
Yeah.
everybody there and the purpose. And
Yeah.
it was awesome.
Yeah.
I was dead tired, but you know what? Once everybody showed up, I lost that feeling.
Yeah.
And I was just so in the moment. That night, I felt like I couldn't stand up out of a chair, but during the time, it was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I gotta say, such a pleasure. I hope we can have you back again.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
There's so
I'd
many
love
things
to.
we could talk about.
Yes.
So many things. If somebody wants to reach out and learn more about Fellowship, how would they reach you guys?
They can reach us on the website is www.fellowshiprco.org, or they can call us at our RCO, which is 754-205-7428.
All right. Karyn, any final thoughts?
No, but I can't tell you how awesome it was to have you here.
Yes, thank you so
We've
much
been
for
thinking
the
about you
invite.
for a while. It was a good thing we saw you at the barbecue
I
and
know.
dancing and watching you, and I
Yeah.
took videos of you, and
Yes.
pretty awesome.
Thank
I'm glad
you.
we're friends, and I thank you for your service, and you're part of our board as well. So we're pretty special. You're a pretty special lady. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well,
Grateful.
obviously, we here at One Brother, One Sister and Silver Life Studios really, really appreciate the work that you're doing out there in the communities. Our sons, our daughters, our friends, our parents, they're all much safer because of the job you do.
Thank
right.
So we appreciate that. And we appreciate all of you watching. And I want to remind you one more time, if you didn't like this show, please hit the like button, subscribe to
Yeah,
the
please.
channel, and leave a comment. Those comments are very important to us. And if it just takes a moment for you to tell us yay or nay on how you like the show, that would help us tremendously. Please remember, every day, do 2 nice things for yourself, 1 nice thing for somebody else. You'll never go wrong. For Karyn Hurley, our guest, Sarah Barkley, I'm Scott Jones. Thanking you for joining us. We'll catch you next time right here on FARR and Beyond.